the elimination of regulations, impose a hiring freeze. We've stood up for the men and women of law enforcement. We've undertaken the most substantial border security measures. We've ordered a crackdown on sanctuary cities, a nationwide effort to remove criminal aliens, decisive action to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of our country, the Keystone Pipeline, imposing a 5-year lobbying ban on White House officials, preparing to repeal and replace Obamacare. I've also worked to install a cabinet.
We counted at least 18 accomplishments mentioned during that press conference. The president doesn't even have his full cabinet yet. Let's take this to the political power panel. Republican strategist Chris Neiweem and liberal analyst Cathy Areu. First to you, Chris. Here's what the president has done. He's nominated Supreme Court justice. He's introduced new sanctions on Iran, Keystone Pipeline, Dakota Pipeline, withdraw from TPP, freeze federal hirings, cut federal regulations, trying to create jobs. I mean, what do you think when Nancy Pelosi makes statements like that? What's your reaction?
Well, my first reaction is I wonder if Nancy Pelosi actually knows what day of the week it is, because I've worked with her staff. They're some of the greatest staffers on the Hill, and she tends to be clueless half of the time. I think the president's gotten more done in his first few days here and few weeks than she has in many years. And frankly, my big concern with Nancy Pelosi is she passed over a veteran and a member of Congress, Tim Walz, who's done a lot of great things, over for a non-veteran on the VA committee last Congress who ended up being indicted on federal corruption charges. It was a total embarrassment. So Nancy Pelosi should focus on getting her effects in order and give the president credit for what he's done so far.
Let's talk about how the markets have been reacting. $3 trillion estimated in equity values since the election really took off about 11 or 12 days ago when the president said, I plan to introduce a phenomenal, quote, phenomenal tax-cutting plan, a tax reform plan. Here's what the LA Times is now saying. It has this headline, why the stock market has climbed to record highs despite Trump uncertainty. All right, now the market just had its 12th straight record close. We haven't seen that in 30 years. Cathy, what are your thoughts?
I just don't think that this is due to Trump in any way. Well, because he's only been there 40 days. I think that this would.
The markets start to go up when the president.
Well, it hasn't happened though. The plan hasn't happened.
I hear what you're saying.
We're waiting.
Happened, but,
and even Hillary Clinton, they said when she would become president, she would have the corporate tax plan and corporate tax cuts, and we haven't seen any of them. So he hasn't actually done what corporations are waiting for, and that's a big concern. There's trillions of dollars overseas we're trying to bring back, and in 60 days they both promised they would bring it all back, and the money would come back, and he hasn't done anything. I don't
think he'd say he would do it within 60 days. But Chris, here's the Democrat plan is to obstruct and to stop that, so they could say, listen, your approval ratings are horrible, and they're going to get worse if the Democrats follow through on that plan to obstruct and stop his policies. What do you think?
Of course, and that happens every time. And I mean, to be fair, I mean, both parties are going to be a little bit adversarial, but this absolute opposition party position of constantly criticizing the president, never giving him credit where credit's due. I mean, we've had a lot of forward progress, and in the 10 years I've been involved in politics, I've never seen an administration hit the ground running like this, and they're still got their head in the sand, upset that Hillary Clinton lost the election. They need to accept it and find the common ground and see where they can make progress, but the president's off and running, and he's doing some good things.
Cathy, quickly.
Well, the Tea Party complained for 8 years, so I've seen just as much criticism when Obama was president. So I've seen this.
Not me.
I've seen this.
All right. Chris and Cathy, you will be back. Thank you so much for your time, both of you. Really appreciate it.